Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast. My name is Jed. We are exploring this banger of a book. And let me just turn down my music a little bit. And so we're at part 3. So far there are 3 parts to this book. We're in the 3rd part. The first 2 we explored that there are basically 2 ways that we as human beings, as intelligent beings or evolved intelligent beings, can perceive reality, can make sense of our world. There is belief, and then there is understanding. We have been discovering that belief functions through interpretation, whereas understanding allows you to see what's there to be seen. When we are applying this to reading something, like reading a text, as we're doing here, you'd call that, well, reading with a capital R. So we're learning to read through understanding. Critical thinking is the use of understanding to explore an idea. And of course, the system or art or skill of understanding we call the dialectic. So that's how our understanding works. On the other side of the coin, belief functions through interpretation. So we project what we are carrying with us in our beliefs onto reality, causing us to respond in an inappropriate and negative way to what isn't really there. Projection. Also, it causes our blind spots. So adding what isn't there and blocking us from what is, seeing what is there, that's interpretation. That's how belief functions. So Harry is personifying the idea of belief, or the functioning of belief. Joseph, understanding in the book. So we are also exploring, hang on a second, why are beliefs so powerful? Because what beliefs do, so that's how it functions, the result of belief is it blocks our development. We can't learn. We can't read what's there to be read. We can't develop. We stay stagnated, stuck in a self-fulfilling prophecy of belief. So in principle, we all want what is good for us. We all want to understand ourselves and understand what we're interested in and reach a higher way of living, a better way of living, a better level of skill in whatever it is that we are doing. So we all want understanding, but belief blocks it. It blocks our development. So option A, belief. Boo for belief. Option B, yay for understanding. So what we are learning, we have Aliyah in between the 2 worlds, representing the human drama, our drama. We get beliefs from childhood. There's nothing we can do about it. It seems to be part of what it means to be in the human game. You get beliefs. You get something that we are loyal to and we identify with, and we don't even know we carry, that blocks our own development, causes us individually, in our relationships, and collectively as a species to do bad things that we don't want and everyone loses because of. That's belief. Therefore, the root cause of all human problems. Wow, that's pretty neat to understand. So we are seeing if there is someone, well, if our journey is to be like Aliyah and move from a world of belief to understanding, philodianoia, better than philosophy, because philosophy is a love of wisdom, but this is even better, philodianoia. If that's the human purpose, what do we gain out of it? Well, in the first 2 parts, we're seeing that learning to read what is there allows you to discover the beliefs that you've been taught or that you've learnt, because beliefs come from other people. It's not seeing it for yourself. That's critical thinking. It's a kind of imitation of someone who claims to be an authority figure about a subject where they don't have understanding, because anyone who understands, if you have an understanding of math, you can pass on that understanding. Your job is to help the students of math also have understanding, but believers don't. You stay where you are. We have expressions like know your role, or pull yourself up from your bootstraps. It's impossible. So the people in authority who are born into wealth, and so they can pretend their beliefs gives them expertise as a billionaire, or born into political families or political connections, they don't have any expertise. They just believe they are better and knowledgeable. And of course, religion. Positions of authority within belief traditions of religion. They don't say, we all can be Pope, we all can be billionaires, we all can be president. It's impossible. So they are telling you, you have to stay down. You are the slaves. You are the people that we abuse and exploit for profit and power and sadistic pleasure of inflicting power over people. That's the human sickness writ large in our society. Whereas understanding makes you like the teacher. It's a win-win for everyone. So, any belief-based tradition, you'll find systems of oppressive authority, systems of hierarchy where you can't evolve. There is hierarchy in understanding. You start as a student, you can become a teacher. There are stages of development, but you are expected to want to get better. Belief, no. If you are told some belief about Jeebus when you're a kid, you keep it your whole life, and that's it. That's your lot in life. By learning to understand, we can free ourselves from that brainwashing and that exploitation by those who lied to us through belief and systems of belief. For example, we've been exploring we've been given the exercise to look at the Adam and Eve story. A story that we are supposed to believe that justifies oppression of women, that justifies slavery, that justifies punishment, that justifies ignorance. So all of those you can see in how we are told to understand through interpretation and belief this fairy tale. Eve tricked Adam, so women are bad, we should oppress them, and we have been. We disobeyed the authority figure, therefore you can be enslaved. You have to work by the sweat of your brow forever, because God, slave master, says so. You tried to eat from the tree of knowledge. Oh, bad, you can't know things, you're supposed to be ignorant. So all of these things that are to support systems of belief, exploitation and sadism, cruelty, taken as knowledge, are not actually in the book. So we've been given the exercise to find the book, open it up, read it for ourselves, and we can see for ourselves that if we learn to read for ourselves, we can uncover the lies that we have been carrying that have been used to hurt us, so we can heal. So understanding, as we can see for ourselves if you want, can heal the harm caused by belief. So you could say part one is to understand that there are two different ways of thinking, belief and understanding. Part two is to demonstrate. Now, I don't know if it's part one or part two. I'll have to review to make sure that they fit evenly into those spots. But from what I remember, part two is to see, hey, if you do, the benefit of understanding over belief is that you can heal problems. You can overcome being lied to. And now we're in part three. Part three seems to be, okay, We've recognized that there is belief and understanding in part one. We've recognized that understanding can allow you to overcome the lies and brainwashing and exploitation from belief in part two. But let's say we're free of that. Let's say we've seen the significance of understanding. We've seen it's the better of the two ways of being as a thinking individual. We've seen that it's the preferred way and belief is bad always by definition, and the cause of human problems at every level. Okay, we're on board. We're in this new game. Where does it take us? Is there something more than just overcoming our problems, overcoming our ignorance, overcoming our blind spots, projection and interpretation? Now, so far we've gotten 3 responses to that. We've gotten Harry's response, someone who is stuck in belief, completely opposed to understanding because that's how belief functions, saying, there's no such thing as knowledge. There's just the physical world right here. We've got Joseph, someone who is familiar with understanding and knowledge, saying, hey, you know what? Understanding can lead you to higher levels of existence. Let me make sure I'm quoting the text exactly. Yes, you can reach more profound levels of existence. Hooray. So in other words, Harry, or everyone, the way of living and the way of perceiving that you are familiar with is just the beginning. You're supposed to be learning and evolving and growing into higher states of existence. Now you might say, well, being able to think for yourself, as opposed to being a blind, savage, NPC zombie foot soldier of belief and ignorance, marching under whatever banner you happen to be born into. My family was Muslim, so I'm going to march to war for Muslims. My family were billionaires, so I'm going to march to war for capitalism. My family were Mormon, so I'm going to wear my magic underpants.
Goon, 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 goon.
And they're gooners. So you might say that is a higher way of being. More free, more independent, more able to reach your own goals. So understanding might be more, so that what I just described is belief, but being able to think for yourself, to be able to reason through what's there, to be able to relate to what's there and not project, that seems like a higher way of existence. Sure, but that's not the end. There are different dimensions to reality and intelligence. What we have been learning about understanding is that its source isn't the physical world. All of the things we use in understanding, ideas like whole, part, same, different, like, unlike, greater, lesser, ultimate, beauty, justice, excellence, you've never seen these. These are not physical things. You can't hit it with a hammer or bang on it like I can this table. But they have a more profound scope. They're causal. We see them as we don't see them. We infer them with our intelligence. We infer. If you show a picture of a beautiful person, beautiful woman to a dog, they don't see the beauty. They just see a person. If they, whatever dogs think. But we can use our intelligence to infer the presence of beauty from this picture or from this person. In other words, we have a mind that can infer qualities from a non-physical dimension of reality. And what Joseph points to earlier in the text is to be able to apprehend, to experience these levels of reality that are higher than the physical world is the point of philosophy. That's why our current educational system that rejects true philosophy, true education, is so batshit crazy. and why it's not solving any problems, just pumping out weapons manufacturers and business bro exploiters. So we have the capacity, and all human beings do, to participate in non-physical levels of reality. That's called thinking. Thinking isn't physical, and its forms or its aspects are not physical. In fact, you could say human ignorance belief is the misuse of that capacity. We believe certain people because we incorrectly project beauty onto them. Oh, that's a real beautiful person. I'll believe them. Or truth, or excellence. Wow, they're really loving. They must really care for me. I'll believe them in their big priest robe or rabbi hat or whatever. Or not just their physical appearance, how they relate to us. Wow, they're a stern parent. I'm going to vote MAGA. They're hurting us like my parents hurt me. I'm going to vote conservative. They're racist, just like my parents. They must be experts. So now now in part 3, we can ask the question, to what extent can we participate in those higher dimensions of reality or intelligence? How far does our intelligence take us? And if we're able to participate in intelligence at higher levels, can that change our whole mode of existence? And is this true education? Isn't education supposed to change you for the better? Now you might say, well, modern education isn't supposed to change you. Well, it's supposed to change you in a negative way. Make you, give up your will so you can be a cog in the machine for billionaires. So you can mindlessly go to a work for 9 to 5 without ever questioning, why the fuck are we working from 9 to 5 when we should only be working 2 hours a day? And 3 days a week? Why? We're not more productive. And productive to what? Making more things? Why don't we make objects that don't have planned obsolescence, that aren't designed to fail, so we have to keep purchasing? And where are we putting all this garbage? Are we turning the planet into a big garbage tip? And why isn't my life getting better? Why can I never afford a house? Why do only the billionaires get all of the houses and we get none of the houses? We don't ask those questions. So we could say our education is to change us into a zombie, to do harmful things against our own interests. But that's not really personal development. That's not growth. That's the destruction of the soul. So what if true education does change you for the better? Allow you to participate in higher levels of intelligence, higher dimensions of reality, and higher levels of your own self-existence. That's what Joseph, as someone who is familiar with understanding, is pointing to. Knowledge. The Greek word for that is nous, but we use the word knowledge with a capital K. So belief is the bad way of making sense of the world based on lies, imitation, projection, interpretation, causing all human problems, vice, injustice, and suffering. Understanding is how to think critically, how to relate to evidence and reason that is there, how to put ideas together in a structure using terms from the text to gain your own apprehension of what's going on accurately. And now we have a third level of cognitive function called knowing. Believers are opposed to that because, hey, if you know something for yourself, why would you have to believe the priest or the imam or your parents or the rabbi or the president or the economist? If you know it for yourself, you can't be tricked. That's why part of the injustice of belief is to teach a fear of knowing. So, Harry the believer says there's no such thing as knowing. Joseph the understander is saying, hey, actually knowing is real and it's, I don't like using that expression anymore, is legitimate and will change yourself to allow you to rise to reach more profound levels of existence. Holy fuck. Does that sound fun? And we have Aaliyah caught in the middle. All she knows about understanding and knowing is not of true philosophy, but of the world of ignorance and beliefs. All she's seen about understanding and critical thinking is how academics have used it to justify their sick beliefs. I believe billionaires should exist, so I'm going to become an economist and use understanding to justify. It's the free market, supply curve, demand curve, mathematics. I believe that my religion is right, so I'm going to become a scientist to drop bombs, to create weapons so I can murder the non-believers. So all she has seen is the use of understanding or critical thinking in universities to justify the ignorance of belief and do harm that is destroying humanity, destroying all other life on our planet, and destroying the planet itself, and justifying systems of oppression based on belief. So why the fuck would someone like Aaliyah want that? So she's saying, I don't like this talk of knowledge. Can't we just focus on saving our environment, saving our planet, saving our species? In fact, all scientific inquiry has just been to make nuclear weapons and fucking systems of oppression. So how about we just stop that? If we're pumping out engineers and all they are doing is making bombs to drop on girls' primary schools in Iran for the Epstein billionaire class, why don't we just stop making bombs? So completely legitimate. But this points to what we saw earlier, Aaliyah saying in part 2, hey, I have rejected religion, the things that I heard growing up in my family, the sorts of things my parents have said. I heard my dad saying these Christian platitudes. I've rejected that without understanding. I haven't understood why they are bad and what is the root cause of these beliefs. Where does this oppression of women and justification of slavery come from in the Adam and Eve story? This Easter stuff, a human being rising from the dead like a zombie after being buried for 3 days, where the fuck did that idea come from? Oh, that's Paul. Oh, why? You have to believe or you go to hell, and the magic of heaven will come and defeat all human problems through a great war. That doesn't solve problems. Understanding does. And doesn't that just stop us from understanding problems and fixing things in our lifetime, waiting for a magic rapture to happen? Where did this idea come from? Oh, that's Paul. Paul rejects everything Jesus said, and modern Christians are Pauline. But where did Paul get his ideas? In other words, but by the way, we've also noticed other things. Why is someone as brilliant as Aaliyah in a relationship with someone as stupid, pig-headed, belief-based, cruel as Harry? We heard Aaliyah say, my dad was like Harry. My dad said the things that Harry said. So her idea of beauty is still based on belief. In other words, she may have rejected or ignored her religious beliefs from her upbringing, but you can't purify it without getting to the root cause and essence of the issue. The essence of the religious beliefs and the cause of why they were believable, or the cause of where the hell Paul pulled these out of. Did he pull them out of his ass? Where did he get them from? Same thing with everything. Your toaster may be burning the toast every second morning. You might be able to ignore it and just have Fruit Loops every second morning when you burn the toast. But the problem is still there. It's still affecting you. It's still making you buy twice as much bread. You have to get to the essence of the problem. The problem is something to do with the wiring and the cause. It's the cause of this wiring problem is I'm overloading the power point in my kitchen. I'm cooking toast at the same time as boiling my water for coffee. That's what happens in my house. So if human beings start in the level of belief because of the way that we are raised, with parents who get to play king, priest, believers of the house, whether we like it or not, within a society based on belief-based ignorance, capitalism, right-wing politics, if influenced by religious systems, so these are all circles of influence that are all belief-based and cruel and harmful, we get beliefs. In other words, our soul must be here to address beliefs. It's what it means to be human. It has to be. If beliefs are the cause of all human problems and we all get them as humans, it must be what we're here to address. There might be more, which is what we're exploring in part 3, but it is at least foundational. All human beings are here to understand the nature or essence of belief and the cause of belief. Not just to ignore the stupid ones. Those wacky Mormons. Oh well. Those Scientologists that torture people to death and then sue anyone who speaks up. Oh well. They're just wacky. Well, watch a South Park episode about it and just let it be. Oh, those wacky racist Nazis. Oh, they've bought social media. Oh, they've bought all the social media. They own the Twitter and the Facebook and oh my goodness. Oh well. Let's just ignore it. I mean, I'm not a racist. I'm not a Mormon. I'm not a Scientologist. Surely there's no harm in just allowing these problems to fester. That's what we're here for. We're supposed to address the cause of the problem and understand its nature. Now, that's our job collectively as a human species, but also individually. Like Aaliyah, because she just ignored or rejected her religious beliefs, she didn't get to the essence of what they are, number one, and its cause, she was still being controlled by them, giving rise to an expression that we saw earlier: we don't have our beliefs have us. You're not in control. That's why we call it fate. If you say, well, I'm going to put a kid in this time period, in the Middle Ages, in this country, in the Middle East, with these parents, oh, what do you know? They're Muslim. Oh, what do you know? They feel like women are less than men. Oh, what do you know? They support systems of patriarchy. Oh, what do you know? They XY. Of course. It's predictable. It's understandable. No coincidence that Jewish babies have Jewish parents, that Mormon babies have Mormon parents, that Protestant babies have Protestant parents. It's not a fucking coincidence. There is a cause. So, our beliefs don't have us. Wait, we don't have our beliefs have us. And if you want to remove your problems, get rid of your own injustice towards yourself, in your relationships, whether you know you are being immoral or unjust or unethical or not. You are doing it. It's part of being human. We are here to learn. This is what we're here to learn. You have to understand the nature of the problem with the toaster and address its cause. You have to understand the nature of beliefs that you have and its cause. and you have to understand the nature of belief itself and its cause. That's what we are doing here on this channel. So we are fulfilling our purpose as human beings, hooray. Being ethical, doing what's right and good and necessary. And because it changes, it frees us from our problems and allows us to function in a better way, it's also moral. Hooray. So that's how we purify our problems. But let's say we are doing that. What else is on the table? Is there another game in town? How far does understanding take us? Now, so Harry is not in the game. He's opposed to understanding, so he's definitely going to be opposed to knowing. Aaliyah is learning about what understanding is, the dialectic, how to think critically, read critically, relate to evidence and reason well, how to structure terms, how to find the key terms within a set and structure them in their right hierarchy, in the good sense, hierarchy, not in an oppressive belief-based sense. And how that those terms have a model. We call them the self-logos terms or the self-verse, and a structure, a model of the structure, the dialectic. But all she knows about how understanding is used, knowledge, is to do harm. So she doesn't like this idea of knowledge because all of the knowers in our current level of human society are all belief-based fascists and sadists, because sadism, as we learned, is the functioning of belief. Let's find it in the text. Belief offers certain things. Let's turn down the people talking. It offers sadist. It offers people a justification to inflict violence on other people under the idea of punishment. Can't actually solve somebody's problem, but you can beat them for having a problem. And that gives you a sense of sadistic fun and a feeling of smug superiority. And if you ever look at any of these belief-based, you've ever seen a billionaire or a conservative or a religious official talking about what happens when they're in charge, yes, we will crush the Palestinians. We will crush the Goyim non-Jews. We will punish the homeless people who are not pulling themselves up from their bootstraps hard enough. They're doing drugs and they don't want to work. Look how cool we are. If you've ever seen those Joe Rogan type podcasters and comedians, whenever they're in a position of authority to punch down, they are so smug. They are so cool. They delight in their ability to hurt other people. But as soon as the shoe's on the other foot, they cry victim. This is not fair. I thought the left was supposed to have empathy. Don't cancel me for doing Nazi stuff. Can't we all just get along? Smug cruelty. The state of being offered to believers. And every belief group has a designated word for the sacrificial lamb. You can genocide those, they are Goyim. You can murder those, they are infidel. You can bomb those, they are heretics. You can lynch those, they are Black Americans. You can murder those, they are radical left protesters, protesting the Epstein billionaire class. There's always a designated. So that's another thing that belief offers you. You can instantly know who's for you and who's against you, and a common belief shared by those within the belief group. So, This is the attractiveness, this is the marketing, this is the appeal to believers. Guess common feeling with everyone wearing the red MAGA hat. You know who's for you, you know who's against you. You can be harmful to those people who are against you. You can have, therefore, sadistic fun and smug cruelty. So the worst of human nature is marketed to believers. So we call that vice signaling. So a Nazi will signal, look at me, I'm a good Nazi. So anyone who wants to be on Trump's political group, they have to demonstrate that they're okay with being cruel. And there's a famous story of that lady who said, look at me, I killed my puppies. See? Vice signaling. Demonstrate you're okay being sadistic and cruel as a mark of being a believer, then you're on the team. Whereas understanding is virtue, the opposite. Now, so that's understanding the nature of belief, and it's the appearance that is its cause, and why and how it functions against understanding. We need to see all that to purify the negatives caused by belief. But now we're on to, well, okay, let's say we're doing that. Let's say we recognize that beliefs are the cause of all human problems at every kind of level, in particular individually, the cause of our own injustice and vice and cruelty towards ourselves, our friends, our relationships, and in any position of power to society. Okay, we're doing that. We recognize that we don't have beliefs, beliefs have us. We're recognizing that we have to solve beliefs through understanding, so we have to use the dialectic in some way to find the nature of our beliefs and belief itself, the cause of why we believe what we believe, and the cause of belief itself, and only then can we purify our problems. We've also recognized that you'll get guidance on how to do that specifically through your dreams. So the use of the dialectic and dream analysis to uncover our beliefs, understand the nature of those beliefs, and address the source of those beliefs in an activity with a dialectician, we're doing that. Okay, then what else is on the table? Joseph, the philosopher, says there's a new game in town. We can explore questions. It's an invitation to a new game in town where we explore questions that allows us to reach more profound levels of existence. There's a new game in town. Now, Harry dismisses that in the way that some 70s American Hollywood villain would. The oppressive parent, or the oppressive chief of police, or the oppressive boss at the job. That's just hippie shit. You're just doing the acid. You're on the pot. You're a pothead. You've got reefer madness. And of course, that's one way of rejecting the existence of the ability to participate with intelligence, your own intelligence, in a higher way, at a higher level of existence. Of course, all of these arguments we all know now are used to oppress open-mindedness, critical thinking that would challenge the systems of imperialism and capitalism, and the belief-based systems of oppression. Joseph says, hang on a second, it's not how you get the experience that matters, it's what you do with it. What you learn from it, and what you do with that learning. You may get that experience by car, by walking, by prayer, meditation, and drugs. We're wondering what he means by car and by walking. Now, I think there has two meanings to that. There is the literal. There's that saying, if you are notice a brilliant light of being experience coming on, this gift of intelligence, and you're driving, pull over to the side. You don't want to be driving your car, so pull over. Like answering a cell phone call. You're getting a call from self or from mind, pull over to answer your phone. There's another expression similar. You don't want to be eating a hamburger, because if you're experiencing oneness, you won't know where the hamburger stops and your hand begins, and you might eat your hand off. That's a funny joke. We have fun here. There are, of course, people, tales of, or stories, or accounts of people who are walking. As a famous one of the poet, can't remember his name. It's in the book Three Pillars of Zen, I believe. Anyway, some famous poet was at some poetry reading group, and walking home, he was walking home, and he looked in the window of some store, and all of a sudden he was in the brilliant light of being experience. So he was just walking. He wasn't meditating or praying or doing drugs or in sport or in music. He was just walking. So there's literally, you can get it by walking. But I think also by car or by walking means you can move quickly or you can move slowly. Drugs or psychedelics can offer a quick experience, not guaranteed, of course, and let's hope you've been doing the work of addressing your false beliefs so you don't project onto that trip anything that makes it a bad trip. And let's hope you've been doing the reading with us here and developing your own critical thinking and understanding so you can know what to look for when you're experiencing mind itself. Or maybe just be open and curious. Be okay with being puzzled. Either way, it may offer a quick journey, like in a car. Or also on the table, and you don't have to do one independent of the other. We're also moving in a slower way by learning how to read, going through these texts together, exploring together, practicing how to reflect through the dialectic. So, we want to have higher experiences, use understanding to make sense of it, and, well, integrate it into our own level of our own base existence. Or standard level of existence, learning. Aliyah is unfamiliar with this because all scientific knowledge has done is created weapons of war and the destruction of the environment. And so shouldn't we just be focused on saving the planet, protecting the environment with our energy? And Joseph skips past that and he says, hang on a second. And completely understandable, of course. But what we can recognize is, oh yeah, that's not real understanding. That's materialism. Under systems of belief. So all that they discover about nuclear material under the earth is, oh, how can we use it to kill people for capitalism, religion, and conservatism? For belief-based systems of oppression. In other words, we're not addressing the root cause of what we do with our learning. So Joseph says, I am puzzled about the many issues concerning the origin of belief. Why do we get, so these are the sorts of things that we are carrying ourselves. So these questions, hopefully, because of all of the work we've been doing in part 1 and part 2, by realizing that there are two levels of ways of being, belief is what's bad, understanding is what's good. Our purpose and meaning of life as a human being is to go from beliefs to understanding, recognizing that beliefs block our development. Hopefully, we have seen enough that Joseph's questions become our questions. If to carry a question is to be on a quest, we can join his questing party.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
Like Gandalf saying to Frodo, I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure. So what are those questions that we can carry to, perhaps? Why do we get locked up into beliefs if wisdom is so great? Why is it that we can have beliefs that are so powerful they block our development, and we don't even know we have them? Where do beliefs get this kind of power? And finally, to address Aaliyah's problem, if we could answer these questions, could our schools help expose beliefs and eliminate their effect? So in other words, Aaliyah's saying, let's not do knowledge, let's just save our environment, because all the scientific knowledge is doing is destroying life and the environment. And Joseph says, hey, by the way, that's because we're missing the most important element of education in school. And carrying these questions, addressing these questions, so that schools can expose these harmful beliefs that have the effect of destroying our world. Couldn't we do this at school? So those are the two positions. So if part one exposes that there are two ways of thinking, belief and understanding, one bad, one good, part two gives us an understanding of the fact that beliefs have us, and we have to go through the use of understanding to surface and purify those beliefs, and gave us a whole bunch of activities to do that ourselves, a whole bunch of things we can check out and read for ourselves, to move from belief into understanding to overcome the problems of belief and learn how to think. Now we are exploring that with that freedom from beliefs, how far in the positive direction can understanding take us? That's where we are. Now, we also saw last time, just as our negative ideas, beliefs, have us, so too our positive ideas have us as well, in the form of questions. So Aaliyah points out that Theaetetus doesn't have the question has him. So all these questions about belief, why do we get stuck in it if it opposes wisdom and wisdom is so great? Why are they so powerful that they block our development? Why do we not even know we have these beliefs? Where do beliefs get these kinds of power? And could we even introduce this, addressing the cause of human problems, belief, in schools? If you have these questions, you can carry them around with you, whatever you do, wherever you go. And Joseph calls that being pregnant with a question. You can go around with a question like that on your mind. That's what it means to be philosophical. To carry a question is to be on a quest. And the noblest quest, or the game, is philosophy. Real philosophy. So, Joseph doesn't only have a question about beliefs, he has a question about knowledge. So understanding looks back on belief and looks forward to knowledge. And his question is knowledge one or many? Is there only one true knowledge? And if it is many, does that mean that there are different kinds? What are those different kinds of knowledges? Aaliyah said, going around with a question like that on my mind, so that's what you call being philosophical. Not quite, actually. It's called being philosophically pregnant. And when it reaches a maturity, it may require a philosophical midwife. So now we've taken understanding and the process of moving from belief through understanding to knowing, and we've added the human aspect to what it means to be a teacher. It's not just giving the answers. So occasionally we'll get people coming in through the chat here who will ask questions and they'll expect an answer. And it's never good if I give an answer. I'll say something and the first reaction is, so what? You think that capitalism is always bad? What? They've found an excuse to go into their family belief way of being an idiot or being cruel, being a sadist. You've said the bad thing. Now I can feel smug and superior as I try and cancel you or sue you or hurt you or gang up on you or exile you, kick you off the platform or any of this shit. Human injustice and cruelty, triggered by giving an answer that is a belief they don't believe. It doesn't help them, it only hurts them. Or they happen to agree with it already, and then who gives a shit? What a waste of time. I agree with all of my own beliefs. Yeah, you and everyone else, pal. Instead, what we try and do is get people to talk about why they're interested. What's their question? What are you interested in? Where are you at in reaching the excellence of your goal? And no, to our chatter from the other day, our goal isn't to become rich and famous, you idiot. Our goal is mastery of something intelligible, to be good, to reach truth, to know the self. You want to be rich? Yeah, okay. I don't know, short the market. Exploit people, own all the houses, so millions of people will die on the street so you can earn profit. Congratulations, you're a fuckhead. But you're rich. Go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Shill for the Israeli genocide or the capitalist billionaire class. They might throw you some crumbs. Good luck. In other words, these are not our goal. Our goal is wisdom, knowing, goodness, truth. So, I try my best to ask them questions that will get them focused on their puzzle, their question, their own question that they are carrying, the thing that motivates their life. Where are you at? The other question you can ask someone is, where are you stuck? Just as we have pointed out that these questions have us in terms of our positive pregnancy, so too, earlier in part 2, we recognize that our beliefs, our personal beliefs have us, keeping us chained to fate, chained to our problems. So there's 2 kinds of births. So that's why, hey, where are you at or where you're stuck? Now, another thing you can ask someone is, how is it related to what we're talking about? Because it's going to be the same thing, only not about their life, but about what we're reading. Where are you at? What did you understand about the text? Or what insight did you have about the text? Or where are you at in understanding this idea in the text? Or where are you stuck? What problems are you having in the text? Either in the material or in your inability to do the material, to read. When are you telling yourself you're not good enough? When are you saying do something else instead? So those are the 2 things. Where are you at and where are you stuck? And the reason why we're doing this is we're making it human. Because as we're learning, it's not just truth, it's truth and humanness. In other words, we have to nurture our questions. The author of this book said, only a teacher isn't worth shit if he destroys a good question with an answer. Or something to that effect. It was, destroys this question that isn't ready, or ruins a student's good question with an answer, with mistimed answer. In other words, there's timing involved. A doctor doesn't say, oh, you're pregnant. I'm not going to ask you how long you've been pregnant for. I'm going to rip that baby out no matter what. That's crazy. You're crazy. So that's why this is what we're learning about education. There's a human element. We are to nurture a question either about our problem, our beliefs that we don't even know we have, where we're stuck, and our excellence. And our excellence, those higher ideas comes. Stop saying comes. Jesus.
You've been a bad little girl. They're completely. Oh my fuck.
Anything for a click, no matter how stupid or demented or misleading.
Oh my goodness. So, to carry a question is to be on a quest. That's what we nurture. That's called being philosophically pregnant. And the example given so Leah says, hey, can you give us some signs of what it means to be philosophically pregnant? And then Joseph points to Socrates talking to Theaetetus to find a singular formula that grasps the many kind of knowledges. So, this question, is there a singular formula that can take the many kinds of knowledges that we have, knowledge of math, knowledge of music, etc., and bring them in together into a oneness? Theaetetus responds, I assure you, Socrates, I have often set myself to study that problem when I heard reports of the questions that you ask. But I cannot persuade myself that I can give any satisfactory solution, or that anyone has ever stated in my hearing the sort of answer you required, yet I cannot get the question out of my mind. That's the stung. You're stung with it, or you're pregnant with it. You can't answer, you're perplexed and puzzled. That's why it's a question, but you can't get rid of it. Socrates calls that state of mind being philosophically pregnant. And that's where we are. So, to recap really quick, Part 3, we're exploring where does understanding take you, not just in the purification of your problems, but where does it lead you? What is this knowledge? Harry's like, don't care about knowledge, get out of here. Joseph is like, but it can lead you to more profound states of existence, states of mind, and also levels of existence. Put that in purple? No, orange. And Aaliyah is in them in between. So it would seem that her goal should be to become philosophically pregnant, to give birth to a question about an idea that she's super curious about, she can't answer, and in fact no one has given her a satisfactory answer, but she can't get it out of her head. And as we are learning ourselves to become like Joseph, a dialectician, the higher use of the dialectic isn't just exploring ideas or critical thinking or reading, but can you use it with a human participant relevant to and in respect to their level of pregnancy? Can you help them become curious first? Can you help them to become stung with a question first? Can you help them nurture that question and hold on to it in whatever they do, become pregnant first? So that's what we speculated is the higher use of the dialectic and the true nature of being a guru or a teacher that also... Guru is a fancy word for teacher that allows for changes of being. And if that's what we are to do as human beings, ourselves relate to truth and humanness in our own personal development. If we can do so through understanding, we can turn around and help others. Pass on the teaching, pass on the Dharma. Therefore, not only is being a philosophical midwife the higher use of the dialectic, it seems to be the higher functioning of a human being. So, if we're talking about knowledge bringing us into higher states of existence, more profound levels of existence and states of mind, could this philosophical midwife be the higher functioning that human beings can do from that higher level of existence? Is that a good question? Does that sting you? Is that one that you're curious about? What is this higher level of existence that we are here to learn? through understanding and the purification of beliefs? And what is its functioning? What would we be doing if we were in it? Let's pretend you were the guru. What would you be doing? Would you be nurturing a question like Socrates and Theaetetus, as well as helping them to understand the very process they're going through so they can become a midwife too one day? As Socrates is here, helping Theaetetus understand what he's going through. By the way, is that what Joseph is doing with Aaliyah? Not just helping her become pregnant with an idea. The two kinds, her her belief-based upbringing that's limiting her and attracting her to douchebags like Harry McGee here, but also to be pregnant with these higher ideas, as well as helping her to understand the process of what she's going through. Therefore, can we imagine, maybe you can write a sequel to this book at the end of Aaliyah's life where she has gone through this and she is now the midwife, helping other people go through the stages of becoming curious, becoming stung, becoming pregnant, nurturing that pregnancy, and going through the ups and downs, the pain and tribulations of giving birth to those higher ideas. And having given birth to the idea, being able to judge whether the birth is that sick belief idea that has been causing our problems, and we need to yeetus that fetus, or abort that baby, or is one of those higher ideas that lead to a more profound level of existence. As any good midwife needs to judge the birth. Maybe Aaliyah, in the book that you write, could be someone playing that role. What would it be like to write that kind of a book? Would you have to have gone through a similar process yourself to be able to understand it and write a book from someone in that state? Are any of these questions sticking to your soul? Or is this book impregnating you? That's not how pregnation works. Anyway, that's...
Well, that's not true because I don't... Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Bull testicles are involved in pregnancy with bulls.
They're completely lying to you.
Like, literally, suck my dick, dude.
Okay, no sound drops for right now. Oh my goodness.
Brain rot escalates.
Excuse the brain rot. So, are any of these ideas impregnating you? Are you curious about any of them? What would it like to be a guru? What does it mean to be philosophically pregnant? How would you give birth? What would it be like to write the book? Any of these? So let's jump in. So it starts with Aaliyah. So that state of mind that we just described, being philosophically pregnant. Can't find a solution. I'm curious so Theaetetus said, after hearing what Socrates and these other people talk about, this particular idea impregnated me. Is knowledge one, or is there a single model of knowledge or formula that grasps the many kind of knowledge? I can't answer it. I haven't met anyone who can answer it, but I'm still stung by this question, and I can't get rid of it. Socrates calls that state of mind being philosophically pregnant. Aaliyah says, "Thanks, that's some state. I will have fun figuring out exactly how many points are in that quote," which is a message for you. But one thing is clear enough. Theaetetus doesn't have the question has Theaetetus. Oh my goodness. Neither Harry nor I have been pregnant like that. Less than ideal relationship. As a matter of fact, I doubt I've ever met anyone pregnant in that sense of the word. Well, join our channel. Meet better people. Although, in saying that, we don't have a lot of people in this channel yet. But maybe one day. How do you figure that? Somehow we've lost something, haven't we? We have, but we are reawakening that tradition, and hopefully we'll find more people pregnant with ideas like that and better relationships that can give birth to these sorts of pregnancies. Which is why I keep doing this despite my lack of wealth or fame from this channel. I'm sure the people who do watch are the best of all of the people that there are. Or on their way to becoming the ideal. Anyway, Joseph. Well, Aaliyah, that is not easy to answer. I think we have been convinced that there are narrow limits to what we can know. Yeah. Any attempt to go beyond the common sense view is scorned. Yeah. Tell me about it. So that the metaphysics is dismissed as irrelevant. So the study of metaphysics. Yeah. As someone who's lived the life of a philosopher, it's nice to hear someone else say it for a change. Anyway. Plenty of teachers have tried to persuade us to become junior scientists. Yeah. But how many of us are encouraged to learn philosophy? What's worse is that nearly everyone I knew linked Catholic thought with metaphysics. We've been talking about that ourselves, haven't we? If metaphysics is the study of the divine or the realm of being, which is intelligence itself, which is my self-reflecting itself in existence, it's difficult to talk about it when words like divine or God or afterlife or the spirit has, all of those words have been usurped, stolen by the Catholic Church or Christians, or the same way it's difficult to talk about better systems of government that are more social serving, like socialism, or more serving the communism, when all of our ideas of what those things would be are linked to capitalist thought. Oh, it's always bad. The communists, the idea of everyone having their personal goods. You have all the things. You have a home to live in and food and all the things you need, but no one can privatize the things that are to be held in common to be used for exploitation, so no billionaires, so everyone can share the common wealth commonly. That's evil because it will be run like capitalism. Like a fascist dictator will just own everything and give you nothing. It's the opposite of what it is. Or socialism. Same thing. Everyone being able to live together, well, without competition, without everyone trying to rip out each other's throats, it will become fascist, like capitalism. Anyway. So, we have the same issue with philosophy. Metaphysics linked to the propaganda by the belief-based groups that are common of our age. Everyone I knew linked Catholic thought with metaphysics and the Dark Ages. I like that too. That's when Emperor Fuckface McGee destroyed philosophy, killed the philosophers, shut down the academy in 529 AD, and instituted instead belief instead of understanding and knowing. Christianity, the Catholic Church, Emperor Justinian, bringing everything to shit. You could believe your way into medicine. So you could just kill people because you don't actually know any medicine. So the Dark Ages. So up springs images in their minds of religious bigotry and intolerance, with its religious wars, inquisitions, and the total suppression of non-Christian cultures. Dark Ages. So metaphysics was seen, or is still seen, as justifying and supporting that bloodbath. So the people I know most prefer to keep the lid on the box. Better to ignore all that and hope history won't repeat itself in your lifetime. So the same thing that we are seeing about how not to solve our problems, Aaliyah can't just ignore her Christian influence, even though she's not Christian. You can't put a lid and hope it won't affect you. She's in that relationship like her father now. It affects us. And that's what we do currently, aren't we? We're not addressing the root causes of our human ills, belief, and the specific kinds of belief systems, and we just hope that we won't die in our lifetime. Push it off to the next generation. Boomer mentality. So you can't just ignore it and hope. Notice, hope, ignoring. This is the language of belief. Ignore reason and evidence. Pray, believe, hope that things will get better. And of course, we know history repeats because, well, that's the intelligibility. If you see a repeating pattern, there has to be a cause behind it, principles that sustain it. That means it's understandable, and problems are, by definition, therefore solvable. So, big paragraph, this one, super important. Religious wars, inquisitions, and the total suppression of non-Christian cultures. Yes, the functioning of belief in society. When you have a system, Christianity, which is belief. Belief does bad shit. But notice, when we answered Aaliyah, wasn't in the text, but we tried to understand Aaliyah's puzzle. What was Aaliyah's puzzle about knowledge? Why does scientific inquiry only lead to nuclear weapons and the destruction of humanity and the planet and the environment? And we said, well, I wonder why Joseph didn't address it directly but skipped to belief. These are my questions about belief. And we said, it's because if you don't address the beliefs you carry, all of your scientific inquiry will be in support of that injustice. They're building data centers and drones to drop bombs and weapons. All of the scientific stuff is to do harmful things that support the belief. And what Joseph says is, if we actually improved our educational system to surface and address the beliefs we carry, our scientific inquiry wouldn't be to kill non-Christian cultures in religious wars and inquisitions, or the secular version of that with conservative politics and capitalism. It would be to facilitate philosophy, to meet all of the human needs in harmony with all other needs on the planet in the most efficient, sustainable, renewable way, freeing us from any sort of work so we can spend our life not trying to manipulate others for fame and wealth, but to explore the nature of self and reality, wisdom, and develop understanding, which is our purpose. Philodianoia. So, our answer to Aaliyah as to why scientific knowledge is bad, let's just save the environment, is the same issue with philosophy. It's not that understanding is bad, it's that we don't address the root beliefs that manipulate understanding to do bad effects. There's the same thing with philosophy. It's not that philosophy or true metaphysics is bad, it's that we have not addressed the false beliefs either in academic philosophy or religion, that manipulates that area to devastating effects. Bloodbath of history. So it's not thinking, it's what the thinking is used for. But isn't that interesting? Because earlier we said, it's not the insight, whether you get it from driving a car, walking, drugs, meditation, prayer, or however you get it. It's what you do with it. Are you using it to serve your understanding and development of self into higher states of being and existence? However you got that experience? Similar idea here, isn't it? It's not scientific inquiry, or it's not metaphysics that's the problem. It's what it's serving. Is it serving your justification and injustice of belief, or to develop self? Anyway, lots of similarities, lots of fun. But when we have insight and understanding, what do we have to expect?
Imagine bull testicles. Bull testicles.
No, not bull testicles. We expect the counterattack.
I'm cute. Like, it's cutie pie.
Not now.
You should know that you need to quit living your
Oh my
current
goodness.
life and go start a new one as a minor. That is your life calling. You were not meant for socializing with other human beings. You were meant to get black lung.
So we're expecting someone to say that we need to get black lung. The counterattack from belief. And here we have right on cue Mr. Harry. Sure, we have achieved a lot without metaphysics, so we don't need it. Fuck off, Harry.
Unbelievable sluts these days.
Unbelievable these days. Joseph, that does express it, Harry. It's difficult to show metaphysics is relevant for today, especially when it is not introduced in the schools. I like that. The vacuum this creates allows an easy victory for pragmatism and skepticism. That's a big sentence. So unless we understand what metaphysics really is, it allows a vacuum that is filled by the Joe Rogan philosophers, the Jordan Peterson philosophers, the fascists they called, not pragmatic, there's a fancy word for it, Stoics. Almost every single philosopher I've ever seen on YouTube are Stoics. Pragmatism. Philosophy is about ice plunges, and wisdom is about how to get on your grind set to earn $1 million. And courage is getting up at 5 in the morning and doing push-ups. Bullshit. That's the opposite. That's the physical world of ignorance, belief, and materialism. So pragmatism, because we're not learning what we do here at schools, and skepticism. Well, if these are the guys talking about philosophy, then it must be garbage. If Trump is the guy talking about justice, there mustn't be any such. We shouldn't look at justice. If the church are the ones talking about God, we shouldn't understand the nature of the divine. So if we don't learn what real philosophy is, real understanding and real knowing is, you might think we're better off without it. Or it should just be used for practical things, like Buddy in chat, getting money and wealth and fame. So what, says Harry. So what if these are ideas that apply to everything? All I get is a lecture on history. Okay, I'll be its defender. Christianity was merely a reflection of the corrupt historical period of which it was a part. You are too quick to blame it, I'd say. Or are you like Gibbon's Rise and Fall and blame Christianity for the fall of the Roman Empire? And what's so damn special about saving Platonism? And another thing, you bloody hippie, are you going to defend drugs too? You wacko, you nut job, you Fruit Loop? Learn from everything, even drugs? You've got the reefer madness. Bravery from a bottle, wisdom from grass. Anyway, I suppose that was an expression more common in the past. Bravery from, like courage from a bottle. Wisdom from grass. Anyway, maybe Christianity brought about the fall of Rome. For all I know, maybe it did. But I bet if we fall, it'll be because the people are hooked on dope. Oh my God, this guy, fuck me. Jesus Christ.
Wrong. You're so wrong.
He's so far up his own ass.
He is, isn't he? We both know guys who went searching for these experiences. And look at them. They are shells of their old self. Sad and depressing to see them again. Alright, so he's got friends who, whatever. So you know what? Go ahead and tell me. So what's so special about saving Platonism? Wow, okay, so he's defending Christianity. He's very opposed to psychedelic experiences. Psychedelic, a fancy word that means mind clearing. Clearing away the interpretations from beliefs to perceive a higher level of intelligence. Not always, you can be influenced by your problem still, of course. Yeah, so he's on that kick. Joseph. You have made a lot of points, and you have some good questions, Harry. Not good points. Let me first say something about Platonism, at least as I know it. Wisdom traditions function in a very special way. They furnish us with maps for reaching and integrating the most profound levels of experience. Make sense? That's what we've been talking about. We are ourselves developing all of these maps to understand how we can progress from bad states of being to higher states of being. Improve our own level of development of where we're at and how we are free from our problems. How we can follow the steps, the rational steps to reach our highest goals for ourselves and address the blocks that we face that come up on each of these steps along the way. Understanding how there are two primary ways of navigating the world, understanding and belief. One leading to the good, the true, and the one. Belief, that's through understanding. Belief leading us to bad outcomes, false outcomes, division and conflict. The ideal we're wondering about, what would be the ideal? To be a midwife or a guru, dialectician. Got the structure of exploring any idea. Right here, the dialectic, these 8 steps, or 4 times 2. How this applies to the individual, to the collective, and how we can therefore understand our purpose or the meaning of life. We have got on the board. Where's our 2 triangles? Yes, the triad of vice, the false image of self, causing our negative or sadistic states of mind and ways of being, functioning through belief. So let's make the model here. Our existence or rulership. The highest state of self as our highest existence and what rules, or the false image of self, what we think is our existence and also rules our soul in our problems. Our states of mind. That we have as a result. And through that state of mind, we function. So that's the map that allows us to understand the threesome of the self. That's the threesome you want. Well, there might be other ones that you want as well. So vice, the negative image of the self, negative states of mind, or the pathologos image of the self, negative states of mind, and functioning through belief and interpretation. Whereas we want our virtue to know the self in our higher states of mind and functioning through the dialectic or understanding. So there's a map that allows us to understand that. Therefore, verifying our previous statement that we've made today, that there are primarily two ways of functioning: understanding and belief, interpretation. Notice belief leads to your negative states of mind and keeps you stuck in your false image of the self, while understanding can lead to these higher states of mind, these peak experiences. And as we are reading right now, we can not only can understanding lead to these experiences, but we can integrate them as ourself into higher states of existence. So those are the two triads that motivate our soul. One of virtue, one of vice. I'm going to sneeze. We've also got a map for the cognitive functions that we move through. We've got a lot of maps up there. Anyway, so what we are seeing is, well, let's see it in the text. This is therefore, so we're in a wisdom tradition, because wisdom traditions function to give us these maps so we can reach and integrate those most profound levels of experience. So we are participating in the wisdom tradition. Now we could say it's the wisdom tradition because as it's the logos, it's the model for all models. Notice all of these different maps for the individual, for the collective, for our purpose, for the dialectic, for the principles of being in this way of being, for the two triads, for all of the things, for what it means to be a good person and our development from bad to good. Notice, we're not referring to anyone in particular. There's no reference to Buddha or Allah or Gautama or Abraham. In fact, there is no reference to the physical world at all in any of these maps. Thinking, that's not physical. Interpretation, beliefs, logos, pathologos, love of belief, love of understanding, development, functioning. None of these are physical. They're not about personal things, personalities, or belief. Therefore, they are maps that would apply to any tradition, any people, not just any human civilization or culture, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, anything, but any intelligent species at all. Therefore, we can go one step further and say this isn't a wisdom tradition, it's the wisdom tradition. That's why we're so popular on Twitch and YouTube. That's why I currently have 500,000 people watching on YouTube and 50,000 people watching on Twitch. Now, some people are saying I've written on my monitor those numbers onto a post-it note. and those people will be right.
You're a little bitch-ass baby.
Oh my goodness.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
Oh,
It's
well.
great because it's stupid, but it gets a lot of attention, mate.
Well, it doesn't get that's my point, I suppose. We're not getting a lot of attention. But the people who do watch are the best people. Hooray for you. I have decided, and it shall be so. So, wisdom traditions function in a special way. They furnish us with maps for reaching and integrating the most powerful levels of experience. Buddhism, Hinduism, and other traditions served that purpose in the East, while the Platonic tradition served that purpose in the West. Wow. Emma is going crazy when she's just heard about that.
Gooner.
Calm down, she's not a gooner.
Goon, 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 goon.
Okay. So we've understood what Platonic philosophy is. It's the spiritual tradition of the West, as Buddhism, Hinduism, and other ones served a similar tradition in the East. And of course, we could compare, see how well they've done in understanding the pathologos and the logos, but that's a different thing. If you ever decide, says Joseph, to do it, and by that I mean practice Platonic philosophy, and that I mean subscribe to the Awakening Philosophy Twitch channel or YouTube channel, you will soon discover the need for something like a map to chart your direction and progress. And the contemplative path of the Platonic tradition expresses itself through metaphysics. So that too has to be mastered. The real challenge is to master it. Teach it, and add to it. And by add to it, we mean...
Off the fucking bitch, pussy ass fucker.
I can't make that fit. By add to it, we mean...
It's awesome and it's gangster.
I don't know. Gangster.
Bull testicles.
Bull testicles.
Bull testicles.
Bull testicles. I don't know. Like, there's no sound drop for that would fit there. But isn't that what we're saying? Hey, what would it be like to do it yourself, but also be the guru? That's one of the things we've been talking about. Teach it. Pass on the Dharma. How would you teach it? As a dialectician? As a midwife? But also add to it. What have we been saying today and a lot on this channel? Can you write a sequel to this book? What would it be like for you to therefore... Oh, here we go. It's all in one. If you were to add to this tradition by doing a sequel to this book, is it all relative to Aaliyah's return? And have Aaliyah coming back and functioning as the midwife, maybe in a coffee shop like this, exploring ideas as a dialectician, or maybe as a midwife doing dream analysis, or allowing, maybe she can be talking with Harry to surface his particular beliefs that's caused him to be blocked in this conversation, and maybe she can be reflecting on this conversation so he can see all of the ways his particular pathologos false belief has functioned for him to be a dick in this conversation, or to block his participation in the dialectic. If our purpose, if our upward movement is through the dialectic, if that's the following of the map to reach profound levels of existence and integrate them, if that's the dialectic, and he has been fighting against it all along, then maybe in your book, he can look at that for evidence of his problem, and Aaliyah can midwife him into, if he's been curious enough, if he's been nurturing that wonder about why I've been so stuck. Hey, maybe your book can be 3 parts over 3 weekends. or 3 months. Maybe they can stop in and he can start by becoming aware of his blocks, having a reason to see his problems, and then he can become more curious in the second about the cause of his problem. And in the third part, the third weekend or the third month, Aliyah can help him give birth to his particular pathologos, false belief about the self, that was causing him to have these blocks that he's been exploring. That's something you could do, but for you to do it, you'd be adding to the tradition. But for you to be able to write that book, you would have to master it yourself. You would have to go through a similar process. Meaning you would have to you would also have to practice not just going through what Harry has gone through, but what Aliyah would be going through, teaching it. You'd have to practice being a midwife. So that's our challenge. Our challenge in the wisdom tradition of the West, but the archetype, we could say, is to master this, teach it as a midwife, and add to it and writing your own book, the sequel to this one. Sound like fun? Now, you can also add other elements. As you learn more yourself about how your beliefs influence your relationships, who you're attracted to, what you do with your time. Aliyah, for example, has said that they have never given birth to these kinds of ideas, or they've never become pregnant with these kind of ideas in her whole relationship. What kind of a relationship is that? So maybe in the sequel, we can find their relationship has improved. Or maybe Aliyah is meeting Harry once a month or whatever, or once every few weeks, because she's in a different relationship. Maybe you can ship her with Joseph. That would be fun. It's your book, you can do what you want. As a way of personifying her growth and development. So, isn't that neat? What we have been wondering about ourselves, we see a confirmation in the text. That's part of following the logos. So, Platonic philosophy is the wisdom tradition of the West, and our real challenge is it's a contemplative path. It's a map to chart your direction and progress. Contemplative because as we focus on the dialectic, as we use the dialectic or dream analysis or midwifery, we're focusing on an idea. That's a sustained focus on a true idea that's non-physical, with an open, curious mind. Also with reason. That's all of the conditions for meditation. And if your meditation facilitates a change in your state of mind or level of existence, that's the upgrade from. I'll write it on the board, why not? Whoops, I'm outside. Fuck.
You actually are too stupid to interact with the rest of the world. You should...
Oh my goodness, that's a bit harsh. I'm just outside. Oh my goodness.
That's anti-feminist in some way.
For cutting her off was anti-feminist. I apologize.
Dude, suck my dick.
Oh my goodness. All right. So concentration. Sustained concentration becomes we'll put a line. Sustained concentration becomes meditation. Meditation. By the way, how much easier would it be to sustain concentration on your question when you are pregnant with it? As Theaetetus said, I can't get it out of my mind. Sustained concentration. You're doing meditation. Now he says it's a contemplative path. contemplation the reason we're doing this map here is so we can a wisdom tradition, charting the map of our personal development so you can gauge your level of progression. Contemplation is sustained meditation. Contemplation. That's where you actually have the experience of the idea you've been concentrating on to the point of meditation. You experience beauty, you experience justice, you experience intelligence, you experience the divine or God, if you want to use that word, if it's not too loaded for you. So when he says it's a contemplative path, it means it actually affects your state of being. It's not just something to put on your fucking CV on LinkedIn. I mastered philosophy. Give me a job. No. I mean, yes, if you want, but it's to change your level of existence to something more profound. So that's what's meant by that is what is meant by contemplative. And so we can ask our question, what is the role of questions? That's not how you spell questions. Questions in this. What is the role of being philosophically pregnant? Pregnant in this. And what is the role of the dialectician or philosophical midwife? Midwife. In this development or progression from concentration to meditation to contemplation. And we also have another question on the table. What is the role of metaphysics? Is metaphysics understanding this? Studying this? Physics is the physical world. Metaphysics is that which is beyond the physical world. Is this a physical thing? Or is it something that's true beyond the physical world? When we contemplate, are we experiencing the metaphysical world or the world of being beyond the physical? And what is the role of wisdom traditions? Is it mapping this out? Wisdom traditions in this handy little guide to understand what meditation is and what contemplation is, and why a wisdom tradition is a spiritual thing and metaphysics is a direct experience thing. Right? By the way, are those questions going to be helpful? Can you carry them with you your whole day, whatever you're doing? Are you getting impregnated with ideas? It's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win. I apologize. Meant to say win. All right. So the challenge is to master that, including this, I would say. Excuse me. Teach it and add to it. It's a win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win-win-win.
Jester goon maxed.
They're secretly turned on by it.
And that's okay if you're turned on.
Gooners.
You might
Goon,
be a
goon,
gooner.
goon, 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 goon.
Goon, 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 goon. All right. Harry, you mean to tell me that some people are still doing that?
Oh,
fuck you, Harry. I'm sick of Harry's shit.
Dumbass.
That's right, dumbass. I'm sick of your shit, dumbass.
Unbelievable sluts these days.
Unbelievable these days.
The
Emma?
woman. Ugh.
Hey, calm down.
Drop the attitude, man.
Come on, drop the attitude, Harry. I'm so tired of your shit, Harry. I'm tired of it, but also it's a brilliant book. This book is so fucking brilliant. It's exactly what you'd expect to hear from these people. From people who are stuck, people who are blocked. They can't address any of the reasoning and evidence, any of the invitation to participate, anything good, rational, true, and helpful. All they can do is smugly dismiss it from a state of mind of sadistic ignorance. They say shit like, "You mean people are still doing that?" It's so real. This book is a banger. Imagine the mind of the author. What must he have gone through himself in his mastery? What must he have gone through as a midwife helping people through? How must he perceive reality and the human condition to be able to encapsulate the essence of this character so goddamn perfectly? What vision must he have? And could you have that vision? Is that a vision of reality and the human condition that's open to all of us who take on this challenge? Real challenge. Isn't it brilliant? Yeah, it's frustrating because of how fucking real it is. These fucking guys. Anyway, brilliant. Isn't it a brilliant book? You mean people are doing that still? Yes. Some people, says Joseph, some people still use it that way, but it's not taught or practiced as a contemplative path in academia.
It's sad. And I'm sad for you.
And we're sad for them.
He's so far up his own ass.
They
Brain
are,
of a baby.
Brain of a baby. So, Christianity is to metaphysics in its distortion of its terms and application, as academia is to philosophy. Another analogy to help us understand. So it's not taught and practiced. So, common sense, pragmatism, and Christianity was, and still is, hostile to the wisdom traditions. So, what do fascists, conservatives, and sexists and racists say? It's just common sense. So that's the catchphrase for the stupid. Pragmatism, same thing. Hey, it's build a fucking fence. Practical shit. Don't go to school and learn how to think. Pragmatism. Christianity. Thinking for yourself, asking questions is the devil, and if you do it and you challenge our injustice, the bloodshed, the oppression that we participate in, you go to hell. So this is, of course, well, the age that academia lives in, is hostile to the wisdom traditions. Despite the fact that wisdom is fantastic, it's bliss, it allows for your higher functioning, it's the learning that you can use here and beyond, it's the meaning of life, we all want it, it allows for our development, everyone wants it. The human puzzle is those questions that Harry mentioned. If wisdom is so great, why in the fuck do we get locked into beliefs? So the human condition and our societies and our institutions like academia are hostile to what we all want. That's the puzzle. And the difficulty for us as philosophers, finding people to talk to, and what's the challenge? Teaching it. Letting other people know about it and helping them go through their philosophical pregnancy. Hostile. We often say that LeBron James gets $60 million to do a slam dunk every year. Not too many. What should we be paying dialecticians and midwives? Let's keep reading. Common sense, pragmatism, Christianity was and is hostile to the wisdom traditions and... What? There you go again! Joseph, you are going it again! Knocking Christianity! I knew you had fooled around with Buddhism! Oh, naughty boy! You can't fool around with Buddhism! The elders will not allow it with our magic underpants!
Goon, 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 goon.
Goon, goon.
Damn, you really are a gooner.
They really are a gooner. Those wacky Mormons with their soaking. Because, I say that because they say you can't fool around with Harry Potter as they wear their magic underpants and do the
Some
soaking.
goons and some gooners and some weirdos.
Anyway, there you go again. Anyway, so I'll stop with my silly asides. I knew you had fooled around with Buddhism. Wait a minute. You know what you are? You are a relic from the past. That's what. You're a pagan philosopher. Boo, he says. Burn him, he says. Tie him up on the cross, they say. Okay, so what you could do is go through all of these objections we are hearing from Harry to build a map of all of the kinds or archetypes of rejections that human beings will face, yourself and anyone else you are teaching or midwifing, in opposition to our true education, wisdom, and knowing. You'll hear all of it. Like you're just a dope fiend, or you're a heathen, or you're a pagan, or you're a relic of the past, or all of that. You can build it up into a structure for understanding. You're a pagan philosopher, Joseph says. Hey, you got it, Harry. To do philosophy is to be Hellenic. Bingo. Wow, that's it. True philosophy is Hellenic. That's what it means. Hellenic is the state of mind, the way of being. It's not a culture. It's not a belief system. Your mother doesn't have to be half Jewish for you to be Hellenic. You don't have to be a billionaire and subscribe to the country club to be Hellenic. You don't have to be black or white or any of that. You don't have to be born on the right patch of dirt to be Hellenic. It's a state of mind. It's the state of mind that describes true philosophy, which is neat because on the board, we have been using that word from what we've been reading in the previous book, Socrates and Jesus, A Dialogue in Heaven. I recommend you check that out. It is a banger series. We've been using it to define what? Yes, the principles of Philodianoia, the love of understanding, or Hellenic. The new age of man, the true age of man, the true state of being of man. And if we pick it up, it'll be the new age, necessary for our survival and our excellence. It's a win-win.
It's a win. 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 It's a win.
Spit on me.
Emma!
That guy a suck.
Be a reasonable gooner.
Emma, be a reasonable gooner. So, to do philosophy is to be Hellenic. And as they say, the highest flower of Hellenic thought is Platonic philosophy. And that's that word hyparxis, isn't it? The top of the scale is the fullest flowering, or the hyparxis. Now just as our functioning through our states of mind reaches the fullest flowering, or the top of the pyramid, knowing the self. So that the fullest flowering, or the peak, or the highest level of existence of Hellenic thought is Platonic philosophy. Now, a small caveat. because of the influence and counterattacks from belief, especially the interpreters of the Platonic texts, you're not really doing Platonic philosophy unless you're reading the Juan, Juan, Balboa, Balboa translations of those books, because they have the right words. They're not mistranslated in a way that supports the false beliefs and interpretations of past translators. So, Aaliyah has jumped in. Oh, Leah's back. Hooray. Wait a minute, Harry. Remember you turned the discussion over to me? Let women talk, Harry.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
Come on, Harry.
That's weird that you think that.
It's weird, Harry.
Why can't these guys shut up? Whether or not it's about Jesus.
Jesus. I thought you turned discussion over to... I'm doing a lot of sound drops today. And I couldn't be more pleased to turn it over to you. I didn't get one lecture from Joseph here. I got two. You know what a lecture is? It's canned gossip. You wanted Aaliyah? You got it. Oh, fuck. Break up. Dump his ass, Aaliyah. Oh, goodness. I'm really irritated by Harry today. Someone like Aaliyah shouldn't be wasting his time with the nonsense and ignorance and belief of this jabroni. What a waste of a beautiful person. All right. You wanted Aaliyah, you got it. But first, Joseph, you owe me. Just what do you say about drugs? About acid? Sounds like someone's fixated on the drug part of human development. But notice, that's how belief functions, isn't it? It's always the death to homosexual Christian or preachers or priests that turn out to be heterophobic, women-hating, closeted gay men themselves. It's no coincidence that whenever there's a Republican convention, the Grindr app, the male homosexual meetup app, crashes. It's the conservatives that say drugs are bad. We need to murder poor fishermen overseas because maybe they have drugs in their boat, even though there's no possible way of exporting it to America. These conservatives are known for being on drugs all the fucking time. So they project their own feelings of inadequacy onto others and use that to justify their cruelty and punishment, to provide a respite from the cruelty and punishment they are carrying in their own minds for doing those very things or for being attracted to those very things. It's all projection or interpretation of belief from believers. So, Mr. Let's not understand human development by because there's a role that drugs can play. Have you gone to the doctor, pal? Sure, you can heal yourself in various different ways and healthy eating, but when you're especially ill, don't drugs help in speeding up the healing process? Ever taken antibiotics, pal? Sure, you can wait, or you can experience in dreams or in meditation, dialectic reading, or just walking down the street, but hey, don't drugs speed up the process sometimes? So fucking what? Because Ronald Reagan said, drugs are the bad, reefer madness. You got a bee in your bonnet all of a sudden? But he's interested in it, isn't he? So before I give the... here I am complaining about being the subject of the dialogue because I'm getting lectured at. So I will give it back to you because it's just gossip. But speaking of getting lessons, before I go, can you give me one more canned lecture about drugs? I'm just a little bit curious. Good. Good for you. Can you tell me about drugs? About acid? Joseph, I'll tell you what I've heard and what I think. First, before LSD, people didn't believe there was anything to mysticism. Most thought it was a fantasy trip. Acid changed all that. Now we know that if you want to risk it, and I do say risk it, it's not guaranteed. Gotta risk yourself. Risk your openness, risk your curiosity, and maybe even, hey, by the way, maybe do some work on your dreams and midwifery so you're not projecting a bad trip onto your experience. Let's put that aside. If you want to risk it, and I do say risk it, at least do it for the highest reasons and in the best way. Now, since this book, well, there's an expression that's popular: right set and setting. Right mindset, the right reasons, and setting. Do it in the best way. Somewhere safe. Maybe with a fellow philosopher. Comfortable. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win.
I need more win-win sound drops. It's such a handy thing for philosophy, because so many things, because of the symmetrical, recursive nature of truth and logos, we win on many levels. So winning is a helpful sound drop.
Finest video of all time. One of the greatest pieces of art ever created.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Why can't all of my sound drops be so supportive?
You're a baby. You're a little baby.
Damn it. What did I just say?
You actually are super tender. Unbelievable sluts these days.
Getting a lot of that slut drop. Unbelievable these days today. All right. At least do it for the highest reasons and in the best way. That's the sum of the wisdom I've heard. But for me, I'd say technology turns out dream products. The drug trade is the result of chemistry. Can't be separated from it. If you have one, you will have the other. It's here to stay. People are going to risk it. Some for good reasons, and others for escape. Should highlight that too. People are going to risk it. That's obvious, right? But for me, let me say, there is likely to be this is going to be a banger, get ready. There is likely to be a biochemical correlate to every state of mind. One more time for the people in the back. There is likely to be a biochemical equivalent, your brain chemistry, for every state of mind. So it's not that it's just your biochemistry, the same way love and beauty isn't just serotonin and dopamine and all that stuff squirting in your brain, but there will be a correlate you can measure. You are seeing the lesser physical effects of higher cognitive functions and intelligence and being. Now, if you're clever, why not use the two together? Ever gone to a party and had a couple of drinks to feel more relaxed? Doesn't make the night any better. You need to also be with the right people doing the right kinds of things for the right reasons. Can you help? Ever gone to a concert? The band still has to be good. The environment still has to be good. The friends you're with have to be alright. Still good. So, there is likely to be a biochemical correlate to every state of mind. So maybe one day we'll be able to match each with each. There we go. So there's something from the author. By the way, this author has gone through this. He told stories about what it was like before the revolution of the two pills, before women got freedom with the advent of the birth control pills, at the same time as people in the West were able to experience in pill form what these, what do we say, Buddhism, Hinduism, and other traditions in the West were studying and experiencing for thousands of years. Before the invention of acid and the birth control pill, no one was interested. It was dismissed as wacky Eastern foo-foo nonsense. And you'd only take drugs as an escape for your problems. But after acid, people woke up in the West. Oh, there's more than just working a 9 to 5 and coming home to a roast and then beating my wife, or whatever the 50s were teaching people life's about. He even talks about what the classes were like. He talked about a famous guru of a Eastern tradition was teaching at an American college. He had like 3 people in his classes 1 year, or leading up to the invention of acid. Following it, it was packed. People were spilling out of the classes. They were all of a sudden interested in spirituality because it wasn't just dismissed as Harry was doing it or studied as some peculiar nonsense. It was real. And, that's what it's about. There are levels of existence, which is what Joseph has been talking about in reference to knowledge. Higher states of existence. So, some background from about the author who lived this. He was on both sides of this. He happened to be one of the first Western academics, along with his good friend Alan Watts, to study Eastern spirituality, and became head teacher of Korean Buddhism. So he was successful in the highest kind of way. So interesting, the fellow who we're reading, but we're already amazed by how apt this book is. Sorry. Anyway. So maybe one day we'll be able to match each state of mind with its biochemical equivalent, says Joseph. But for all that, I suspect that the cost of the perfect enlightenment pill, the most profoundly beautiful samadhi, wrapped up in a pill or a smoke, will turn escapists into zombies. My guess is to say that whatever seems good under drugs or alcohol will be better without them. So, we are seeing that there are some people who take them for the right reasons in the right way, but there are some people who are seeking to escape. And if we perfect the enlightenment pill, the escapists will turn into zombies. Also, whatever seems good under drugs or alcohol will be better without them. Or, as we mentioned Alan Watts a second ago, to quote one of his famous quotes, they are a window, not a door. It might seem fantastic under them, but of course we notice when we use the biochemical correlate to facilitate the states of mind, it has diminishing returns. Sometimes it's called chasing the dragon. You're always chasing that first high. But I think, and there's another one from Alan Watts. Once you get the call, hang up the phone. After you've got the call, after you've answered the call, then hang up the phone. I like the doorway metaphor. It's a window, not a doorway. What you can have a glimpse of to begin your philosophical journey, or to help your philosophical journey, or as aids as along the way, it's better to not require them. In other words, take those experiences, understand them, integrate them into your state of self. And also, do the work or play the fun game to purify whatever false beliefs you have that are limiting you. If what psychedelics are mind-clearing substances, in other words, they remove the veil of your beliefs and interpretation so you can see what is there to be seen. I think there's another word, psychotropics, which I think means... Psychedelics means mind-clearing, and let me just look it up. Right, so psychedelic comes from the word mind or psyche, to make visible, to see the mind, psychedelic. And psychotropic is mind turns, which is ousia, turning the mind around. I thought one was mind seeing and one's mind clearing. Anyway, it's the same principle. What we're saying is, if what we are seeing, like in learning how to understand, we are seeing what's there without interpretation. And that's the spiritual method. Because what we want to do is see reality as it is without interpretation and see the self without interpretation. So while the mind clearing effect of psychotropics or psychedelics can give you a glimpse into what's there to be seen, what has been there to be seen the whole time, it would be better to remove the stuff that has been getting in the way of you seeing what was there the whole time. In other words, we're here to, as we've been saying, we're here to learn to purify the false beliefs that get in the way of knowing self and reality. So in other words, it's a temporary thing. Now, you might be able to use that temporary freedom from your pathologos to contemplate, to study these things, to reflect with your friends, to even midwife your problems as they arise. You can do midwifery on mushrooms, for instance. It allows you to better see what's there to be seen because you just take them. That's why we need a midwife, because your problems you see through. So it's hidden in your language, hidden in your perception. A midwife can see what's more difficult for you to see and ask you questions so you can bring it to light yourself. So in other words, a window but not a door. For some people, a necessary window. It can be very difficult to get into studying metaphysics when all you know is your physical life. And especially if, you're doing really well, you've got a lot of fame and wealth and physical beauty that people have been surrounding. Yes, we need you on our team. We want you to be the biggest Mormon or the best Christian or the whatever. Team Jew or whatever. Or you've been getting so much positive feedback from physical things that it may be difficult to ask the question, where do they all come from? Or what are they seeing? Or what allows us to perceive these things that we don't see physically but infer, like beauty? Or where did I come from? Or why did I have this beautiful body and this next person not? Where am I going after? Or I feel happy sometimes when I get a lot of praise, but sometimes I feel sad. What are the happier states? If there are levels of states of insight or states of bliss or orgasmic experience, what's the highest? And are any of them sustainable? Can they become my state of existence? Any of these questions you could explore wherever you are, even under the influence of these things, or with the aid of these things. So, some people say, therefore, it's a window but not a door. It can wake you up, or can provide some impetus, or can provide some temporary clarity for you to keep doing it, what you're doing. So whatever seems good under drugs or alcohol will be even better without them. Nicely said. Do I have clapping?
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
That was where my clapping was. What's here?
I don't want to eat a monkey.
No, that's Joe Rogan saying he doesn't want to eat a monkey. I think I've taken off my clapping. So we'll just do cheer. Hooray! Aaliyah, I imagine you have both finished trading position papers, so let's get on with it. Please recall, Harry, that you did turn the discussion over to me, didn't you? I want to return to that last point. Now, Joseph, Don't give another long answer like your last digression. Just tell me what would be born from such a philosophical pregnancy. If philosophy has something you call philosophical midwifery, shouldn't there be a delivery? So, Joseph railing against knowledge, and all the way through, his key argument is because people are able to experience that knowledge or contemplative state through or with the aid of psychedelics, therefore it's all bad. And those Easterners are all crazy. And philosophy as a contemplative tradition is an archaic thing. So, but really leaning heavily on this drugs are bad always idea, when the whole time he's been secretly curious about it himself. Interesting how believers work that way, and belief works that way. So, just as we have to tear the study of metaphysics from Catholicism, just because they are wrong about the divine doesn't mean we shouldn't look at the divine and know the nature of reality. Just as we have to tear philosophy from the academics who misuse its name and its terms to promote pragmatism, physical stuff, and never solve problems. Just as we have to understand true education and how it has to involve surfacing beliefs, addressing them, and removing their negative effects. So too, we have to take back or rip away the idea of understanding biochemistry and psychedelics from the fascists, who themselves take drugs in the wrong way as escapism, but demonize those who take drugs in order to awaken mind to higher states of being, which can encourage curiosity, can make people realize the false beliefs they've been programmed, brainwashed into are false, and awaken a curious state of mind and a freedom from the oppression. Take it back from those fuckheads and understand it rationally and make use of it in the best way. If it's a tool we have, how do we use it well for the best reasons in the best way? Now that we've addressed Harry's puzzle, and yes, we can learn about belief itself, so long as he was talking about it in the way of his tradition, he was able to talk about what he was interested in. Just as the MAGA talk about trans people as in a cruel, sadistic way, because they are interested in it. It's no surprise that it's their most searched porn term on the internet. Just as the religious officials condemning the gays to hell are gay themselves. The belief tradition gives you a way of talking about what you're interested in, provided it's within the very narrow framework of the cruelty of that belief. So to Harry seemed to be curious about psychedelics, but it could only talk about it in a way that was shutting them down. This is belief. We all want truth. We all want to understand ourselves. We all want happiness. We all want freedom from problems. Only the people in power, the loudest voices in our societies, are saying, fuck freedom, slavery only, screw wisdom, pragmatism only, no understanding, belief only. That's the nature of human problems, a fucking stupid, irrational, savage opposition to everything we want and everything that's good, because that's what belief is. The human problem, injustice, cruelty, and savagery, the bloodbath of history, is nothing other than an expression of belief. And we see this as an example of Harry, who wants to know about drugs and wants to facilitate an insight into a higher state of being. He is curious about it, but the only way he can talk about what he's curious about is within the framework of the acceptable belief tradition, which is to condemn it. No different from everything else related to belief. And Aaliyah seems to be far more mature and has an intuitive grasp of how that works. She's bored of that now. Boring, yes. You're a believer, You shit on things you're curious about, but secretly you want an excuse to learn about them. Only within your tradition you have to shit on them because that's the way of being, of belief. Bored of that. I'm on a higher level now, Harry. I want to know about philosophical pregnancy. I'm not interested in your prejudice and your ignorance. And you trying to get a lesson even though you're being a dick. Yes, all believers are like that. Spend their life focused on trans people, focused on gay people. Elon Musk has to remove corruption. He's the most corrupt person on the planet. The Facebook guy, Zuckerberg. Yeah, we're interested in personal privacy and safety. The most unprivacy person in the world. They're lying within their belief tradition, opposing what everyone wants, even themselves. The development of understanding to purify what's false and perfect what's true. That's the whole game. Aaliyah is bored of Harry's shit, so, maybe in the sequel you can ship Aaliyah with someone better than Harry. And she wants to go back to the higher thing. What does it mean to be philosophically pregnant? What is involved in the birth? Where is it? Right, so just tell me what is born from such a pregnancy? What would be born from a philosophical, not pregnant with a baby, pregnant with a question about a higher idea about truth, knowledge, reality, self, all of those things that we are seeking and we all want. And we can get glimpses of through psychedelics, have experiences of while walking in cars and meditation and contemplation and drugs, all of those things, dialectic, dreams. So we can glimpse it, we all want it. The nature of human problems is a opposition to it caused by belief, human ignorance and savagery. But what is it? What is born from such a pregnancy? And if philosophy has something to do with philosophical midwifery, shouldn't there be a delivery? So what do I get? What is the birth? And how do I give birth? Aaliyah is asking some brilliant questions as always, and that's what we'll be exploring next time. So, some bangers dropped in this episode. Defining Platonic philosophy as the spirituality of the West. Defining what a wisdom tradition is. Nothing other than giving us the map for reaching and integrating the most profound levels of experience. Giving us a clue of what true knowledge is. Something about, to quote, something about, it's a new game in town where we can reach more profound levels of existence. How psychedelics or drugs play a role in a glimpse or a facilitation or an opening, but of course, with diminishing returns as a window, not a door, more fully and better achieved without. So as a tool. Right, the difficulty of having to take back words, take back metaphysics from Christianity, take back philosophy from academia, so we can wake up to our what we are supposed to be learning about. The difficulty with drugs, of course, is make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, right setting, right mindset, and right setting, or right reasons in the right way, and not to escape. We want to address our problems, or temporary freedom from our problems to make further development. Either or. Where are you at? Where you're stuck? Helping your perfection of the logos or purification of the pathologos. Either way, that's really the only two things we can do. The only other thing on the table is gossip. And so, a lot of bangers. Oh, and by the way, in this new way of being, we could call being Hellenic. So we can take all of what we've learned and put it into one word, Hellenic. So, let's say we are being Hellenic. What is born from these philosophical pregnancies? And how do we go through the delivery process? That's what we'll be asking next time. How are your dreams going? Are you finding a connection between what you're reading or what we're doing here and your dreams? Are you practicing learning everything about understanding and dialectic to your dreams? As we're learning to read this text, are you also using the same techniques to learn how to listen to your dreams? What are we supposed to be doing? What's the challenge? To master it, to do it, to teach it to others, and to add to the tradition. In understanding how to listen to your dreams in a dialectical, non-interpretive way, could that be an addition to the tradition? Could that be something addition to the tradition? That sounds dropping bars up in here. Could it be interesting to teach to your friends? What would it be like to master your dreams? And as we're saying, the more we master, we become like the master. What would it be like to become like the dream maker? So, that's all. Hope that's going well. I hope you're finding your dreams curious and interesting. Hope you're having fun remembering them and recording them. And I hope that you are curious about what does it mean to give birth to a philosophical pregnancy and what is involved in the delivery, because that's what we'll be exploring next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to follow on Discord. You'll get a notification when we go live. The text is below. You can find a PDF to that. You can buy me a coffee if you like. As we were saying, don't get any money from this. So it's a big help. And you can follow on Twitch if you want to talk in real time together. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.